Our modern society is experience-rich and reflection-poor. Ask yourself, when was the last time you had an experience? Now ask yourself, when was the last time you reflected on that experience? We are in the business of collecting experiences. Busy has become our new normal, a badge of honor worn by adults and passed on to kids. Our overscheduled digital world is full of instant opinions and information overload, all of which hinders our ability to reflect. The educational philosopher John Dewey says, "We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience." I was fortunate enough to spend my 20s and 30s living this quote. As a wilderness instructor, it was my job to propel students into value-forming experiences and then create the space and intentionality for them to reflect on these experiences. My job took me all over the world. I was privileged to facilitate transformational experiences for people of all cultures and ages. Whether it was the student in the South Bronx camping for the very first time in the Adirondacks, or the student in Zimbabwe hiking with walking sticks to fend off black mambas while clinging tightly to the trail as to not set off any landmines possibly left behind by the Mozambique War, or the 70-year-old woman who learned to rock climb for the very first time in these beautiful mountains of western North Carolina, because you're never too old to learn to rock climb. The beauty of these collective experiences is that I too learn from my students. Reciprocal exchange of inspiration, ahas, articulated wisdom occurred daily. So blessed to have done this work. But here's the thing. When people ask me about my job, instead of telling them about the all-night hikes and the epic climbs, the close encounters with wildlife, and the near misses on raging rapids, I would tell them about the Circleups. I would tell them about the reflections, not the experience. I would tell them about the lessons learned, the vulnerability in sharing one's story, the power in knowing you're not alone, and the application of these lessons to their lives back home. Circleups are where we came together as a community to share reflections on the day, make plans for the next day, problem solve group issues, speak from the heart, and share gratitude. It is where group culture was codified, where celebrations were evoked, laughter shared, and tears shed. It is where the magic happened. Circleups took many forms. They can be organic and impromptu, like this group of students naturally circling up after a strenuous hike to the summit with heavy packs. In their circle, they began refueling with food and debriefing the trials and tribulations of their 3-hour slog to the top of the summit. They can happen around campfires, and often marshmallows are involved. They're a time to learn new skills like map and compass. And they can happen anytime and anywhere, in a cave, or the first thing of the day, when inspiration and reflection on one's skills is needed to let them know they have what it takes to canoe 15 miles in the pouring rain. They are multi-generational, where institutional history and responsibility of conservation is passed down. They are when we come together to celebrate community. They are first thing in the morning over a cup of hot cocoa, debriefing a rough and unexpected cold night. They are hard conversations, mutual respect, and hope. And Circleups are where we create group identity and rewrite societal narratives, like this group of young, empowered, adventurous girls circling up before they begin a 5-day canoe expedition. I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised by the power of these Circleups. Circleups turn off busy, which is often vulnerability avoidance. And they make space for us to be vulnerable. We know from Brené Brown's work that vulnerability is the birthplace of courage, creativity, joy, empathy, and belonging. I remember one course I was instructing. The students were 16 and 17 years old. It was a 23-day course, and we had one student on course who was in recovery from anorexia. She had wanted to do a wilderness course for quite some time, but only now was cleared by her doctor. It was day 18 of the course, and we had just finished an epic all-night bush push into camp, collapsing at 3 a.m. with just enough energy to pull out our sleeping bags. That morning in our Circleup, reflecting on this insane all-night hike that we did, this student, for the very first time, opened up and began to share her journey with the group about anorexia, the pressure she felt to be beautiful and thin, smart and popular, to be perfect. And then in that moment of self-reflection, she said, "But you know what? I never felt more beautiful than I did on that all-night hike. I was smelly and dirty, covered in bug bites. I was wearing the same shirt from the start of course, 18 days of funk. But I felt beautiful. And I knew in that moment she was redefining beauty for herself and as a result, for the rest of us. And then she made the transference. She said, when I return home, I'm going to look in mirrors less and look within myself more, because that's where the beauty is. I suppose I should not have been surprised by the power of these Circleups. After all, humans have been coming together in purposeful circles for thousands of years. Many indigenous cultures still circle up. They circle up to confirm identity of community through storytelling, ritual, music, and dance. These Circleups give direction and meaning to life. Circleups are a vital element to human life. So why in our modern times are we not doing more of this? When my husband, also a wilderness instructor, and I were blessed with our miracle twin girls after a long, windy, and at times painful journey to parenthood, we knew that one day we would be utilizing Circleups in our family, that we would be intentional about creating the space to reflect, both as a family and as individuals within families. One way these Circleups appear in our family are through family meetings. We started family meetings when the girls were 4 years old, and they are now 7. And like the Circleups of my wilderness instructor days, they have been transformational for both our girls and for our family. Now, some of you may be thinking, what? We had family meetings when I was growing up, and there was nothing transformational about them. Chances are these meetings were held every so often when somebody was in trouble or news had to be shared. Like, hey, kids, we called this family meeting to let you all know we're moving. Family meetings are not punishment, and they are not a platform for controversial news. They are intentional, habitual, and routine. They are co-owned between kids and parents. They are moments of reflection in our hurried lives. Family meetings are a laboratory for our kids to develop, practice, and perfect life skills. They empower our kids by encouraging them to take a role in their upbringing. When we ask kids what they think or what ideas they have for solving an issue, we acknowledge their place in a family and that their ideas and our opinions are of worth. Family meetings create a safe space for our kids to share feelings. It can be a rare window into their innermost thoughts. And family meetings create a constructive forum for grievances to be aired, rather than the living room yelling match or kitchen brawl. It's not unusual in our family to hear drawers slammed shut and declarations made of, "I am so glad there is a family meeting on Sunday." Or the time when Quinn, age 5, overheard me mutter to myself in complete frustration, "Why am I the only one that turns off all the lights?" To which she replied, "Mom, you might want to bring that up at the family meeting." I'd like to share some of the structure of our family meetings with you. It's not a complete list, but it will begin to paint a picture. We hold them once a week. We find mornings and afternoons work best as we're all pretty fried by the time evening comes. And we make sure everyone has a full stomach because we don't want hangry to be a part of our meeting. After the meeting is called to order, we begin with appreciations. This gives us a chance to come together as a family, take a deep breath, and acknowledge each other. We share gratitude for one another, all the while creating a sense of belonging. One of the greatest gifts we can bestow on our children is a sense of belonging. And if they find that at home, they will be less likely to look for it in negative terms outside the home. And let's face it, we're all at our best when we feel a sense of belonging. We read the family mission statement, which helps us build a positive family culture and identity. After we read the family mission statement, we begin a process of both group and self-reflection called the plus delta. Plus being, what are we doing well that we want to carry into the next week? And delta, the Greek symbol of change. What changes do we want to make as we move into the next week? This moves us from problem-focused to solution-focused. Anybody can point out a problem. We need to raise kids that see solutions. And we always end with a celebration. Research shows us that high-performing teams take time to celebrate, and families are no different. We need to spend time being grateful and celebrating the ordinary. These are just a few of our agenda items. Now, the crux move of a family meeting is the facilitator role. In an effort to co-create our family with our girls and provide them a laboratory for leadership, we all take turns facilitating. Our meeting has an official agenda checkoff sheet. This allows our girls to be completely responsible for facilitating a meeting. As I was preparing this talk, I started to wonder, is it just me that loves family meetings, or do my girls really love them? I can clearly see how beneficial they are to our family, but that doesn't mean the love is mutual. Perhaps my girls are only in it for the ice cream and allowances. So I decided to ask them, and this quick video is one of their answers. Quinny.
Hi, Mom.
Quinny, I was wondering, do you like our family meetings?
I love our family meetings.
What do you love about them?
Well, I get to lead people, and I get to share what I have in my head, and I get to appreciate what I like about the family.
Aw, I love you.
Love you too.
I love Quinn's response. I love to lead people. At a time when there are only 21 female senators out of 100 in our government, I love to hear my 7-year-old daughter say she loves to lead people. We don't wake up one day as an effective leader. We become an effective leader. There is no overnight success. Effective leaders practice and practice and practice. They develop with each piece of feedback and reflection. They look for learnings, and they apply these learnings. Family meetings are the training ground for our kids to become leaders, to practice leadership skills in a loving environment where consequences are low, to build the confidence to become the leader that both they and our world needs. Family meetings are a gift to our family and a gift to society. Our children's generation will be saddled with problems that we have created. What this world is going to need is solution-focused, effective, compassionate leaders. Our kids can be these leaders. So here's the thing with family meetings. As you begin to create this laboratory of love, leadership, and possibility, you will need to embrace perfectly imperfect. If you strive for perfection, you will never start. Zoe, our daughter, spends many a family meeting under the kitchen table with Connor, the family dog, or spinning in a chair. Here's the thing with family meetings. They don't have to be perfect, and they still work. There is so much pressure on us as parents, some self-inflicted and some culturally inflicted. The last thing we need is another to-do item. Family meetings are not this. Embrace perfectly imperfect. And if your daughter or son spins in the chair like ours, know this, that with each family meeting you hold, you are creating a family culture and ritual of circling up. And there is power in circling up. Imagine a world where our kids circle up to talk before yelling, to share before closing off, to ask before judging, to celebrate the ordinary and be grateful for the people in their lives. Imagine a world where we as adults do the same, where we balance reflection and experience. My hope for the families out there is that you begin the practice of family meetings. And my hope for the rest of you is that you circle up. Let's make sacred again the art of reflection and the coming together in purposeful circles. Thank you.